Welcome to this very special digital presentation by Hispanic Lifestyle, Latina Conference 2020, Connecting Latinas of Influence. We are proud to have the sponsored support of Wells Fargo Bank, Riverside County Economic Development Agency, Coca-Cola, the Small Business Development Corporation of Orange County, Inland Empire Health Plan, and Goya Foods. Our program and the complete listing of Hispanic Lifestyles 2020 Latinas of Influence can be found on our website, HispanicLifestyle.com. When you post on social media, please use the hashtag LatinaConference2020. I'm your host, a 2013 Hispanic Lifestyle Latina of Influence honoree, Ana Vergara. And it's my pleasure to present to you the 2020 Latinas of Influence. Engineer and musician Aurelia Gooden.
Like you, I was also raised by my mother, and I grew up in Detroit, but my mother is actually from Alabama, but she spent a lot of her time there growing up on an Indian reservation, or was actually an old Indian reservation, not active when she was there, but all of her relatives were Native American. So it was a little bit of a challenge because basically the beliefs that I was being taught at home weren't really the same beliefs being taught to other members of my family or people in the community. So in a way, I was kind of always the odd girl out, but now I actually appreciate that more. And I see my mom as a big role model because she did teach me a lot of things that I think make me a unique person instead of just another neighborhood girl that has like nothing unique about herself and has no goal or motivation.
Business executive and community advocate, Catherine Garces.
I'm an activist representing my Latino community. I've always been the first one to say I'm here, when it comes to a woman empowerment situation. I don't think twice. I'm always there to support women to grow. I believe that we need to grow together when it comes to supporting women and our children, and how do we rise together, in any sort of aspect. I was formerly with New York Life for about 11 years. And I decided to start a new venture, with a new business called Andrea's Healthy Kitchen. And currently I'm the CMO. So I handle all the marketing and all that corporate fun stuff that I love to do, that I'm known for. I do public relations for that too. So I'm really excited about this new venture. I have 3 amazing kids, and they are the reason why I keep going and going in life. I know they're watching everything mom does. So I have to prepare 3 future leaders for this country. So I have to make sure that it's my responsibility that I have these 3 kids to be one day a role model. So that's my biggest goal.
Director Academic Success at UC Riverside, Cristina Granillo, PhD.
So to work at UC Riverside for the School of Medicine was to come home for me. I am who I am because of the education I received at UC Riverside as an undergraduate. And I started out, as a Latina there, wanting to be a doctor, a physician, because from coming from a Latina household, you were going to be a doctor or a lawyer. If you were going to go to college, your mom wanted you to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I was going to be a doctor. I like science. Then I started to actually take the classes to become a doctor. Didn't really like them. Fell in love with psychology. But what a crooked path that I got my PhD in psychology, and now I'm helping to have students become doctors at UC Riverside, where I wanted to become a doctor at. And my husband hears me, he's like, you should just take the test at this point, because I'm talking about microbiome, we're talking about path, we're talking about hemonc, we're talking about anatomy, all of these different things. And so what I tell the students, even when they're up against a barrier or challenge where they think they're not going to get their number, they're not going to reach their goal, I said, I never in a million years, when I thought I was going to be a physician freshman year in bio class, that I was going to go get a PhD in psychology and now be sitting in here and telling you how to study to become a doctor, So life is not a straight path. And sometimes the crooked path is the best way.
Director, Product Management, Prudential Financial, Claudia Vasquez.
I the privilege to be surrounded by, you know, many Latinas. And number one, I would say bring others along with you. And what I mean by that is that there's always going to be someone who is less experienced than you. There's always going to be someone that is more junior than you are. There's someone always watching what you do, how you do it, how do you come across, what's your presence, what's the rapport. And they see you as a role model, even though they may not necessarily be sharing that directly with you. It's amazing. So don't wait for that person to ask you, you know, to help them. Just always say, is there something that I can do for you? And you will be amazed, because I see it as a two-way learning. I have benefited so much from giving my time to those that are less experienced. Number two, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Many times when I moved from California, first from Mexico to California, then from California to New Jersey with 3 kids, my husband, my dog, it's completely out of my comfort zone, but I have absolutely no regrets, because a different world of opportunities has opened up since I moved to the East Coast area, and my children have been able to experience attending summer courses in Harvard and MIT and Yale. And so you just never know what's waiting for you. So be okay with being uncomfortable and raise your hand many times, and be comfortable with sharing your thoughts.
Public Affairs Manager, Southern California Gas Company, Denise Campos.
I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm the first in my family to attend college, and I went to San Diego State University, where I studied political science and Chicano studies. And the Chicano studies part was just like a hobby, because I was so fascinated and so thirsty for that information that it ended up being enough classes for the major. But I'm born and raised in Los Angeles.
Vice President, Multicultural Communication, Zeno Group, Denise Montalban.
It's called the Orphaned earring because what I do is I ask people to donate, or women to donate, the earrings they lost. You know, when you have an earring and you lose the other one becomes an orphan. Well, I ask women to donate those earrings, and I beat them into a bracelet so that they're no longer orphans, and I sell them, and 100% of it goes to support 5 orphanages that we support through the Orphaned earring. And that was just something I used to do for college to pay for books and tuition. And now I still do it, but this time to support the children that might feel that they have no one else to support them or to love them. And that's the Orphaned earring.
Publisher and author of LC Publishing Company, Elsie Guerrero.
With the Advancing Latinas into Leadership, we're currently working on an e-mentoring program. We found out that schools are not going to be opening in the fall. So the board, as well as myself, we are working together to do an e-mentoring program, and we're going to open up to the horizon. Right now, we were serving children in DC. We're hoping to open it to other students in different states since it will be online. So we're working on that project right now for this summer. My children's books are actually on hold right now. Because I want to be able to be good at everything, don't want to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. So as of now, I'm working on the mentoring program and studying for the bar. After the bar, I hope to publish more books. I do have a long wait list. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the books are based on real children, real families, and I've been very fortunate to have people share their stories with me. And we will be releasing 3 books this fall. And I will be also working on my first advocacy training workshops for Latino families to learn about their rights under IDEA in the fall as well. Depending on the COVID, it might be online, but I'm hoping for it to be in person in the community. So those are the things that I'm working on when I take a break from learning the law.
Managing Partner, Vaco Los Angeles, Frances Moreno.
I'm a CPA, so you can call me a math nerd, although I wasn't necessarily thrilled with math or science. It's probably why I became an accountant, because we have a specialty. So I am an accountant, and I started the firm in 2006 as a co-founder, and it's been a really fantastic 14-year ride so far. But my inspiration comes from my grandmother and my mother. I mean, they were powerhouses of influence in my life, just strong women, workers, and just very family spirited. And the Latina spirit lives on in me. And that's a good thing for my business because it's doing well.
Supplier Diversity and Development Program Manager, Southern California Edison, Gloria Burton.
I actually was born in Honduras, Central America, and I migrated here when I was 9 months with my mom and dad. Yeah. Coming to America obviously I was just 9 months old, but it was different for me. And as I grew up, the first language that I spoke was Garifuna, which is a language spoken in Honduras, and also Spanish. Yes. And so as I went to school here, is when I started to learn English and sort of learn about the American culture.
Business owner, Ortega Counseling Center, Hazel Ortega.
And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have started nearly a dozen businesses that have become multi-million-dollar enterprises. And my passion is helping people improve the quality of their lives. I grew up in downtown Los Angeles on welfare, and it was a dangerous neighborhood, lots of drive-bys almost daily. I've lost best friends and family members to gang violence, and both my parents spent decades in prison. In spite of that, I was able to overcome those challenges and become an educational psychologist. And now I wrote a book on my journey of that, from bounce checks to private jets.
Vice President, General Manager, All Pro Broadcasting, Kim Martinez.
I would tell every female out there,
Really?
Do not be afraid to take a risk and be comfortable who you are and who you're with, and regardless of your background or regardless of your race or your religion or your beliefs, it's just follow your heart. And today I'm probably the most happiest I've ever been. I'm the most challenged I've ever been. That's what I have. I have the faith that I'm gonna get up every day and work hard, and I love being able to go home at night and look in the mirror and know that I did everything I was supposed to do today, and I did it the best I could possibly do it, and that I don't have to be ashamed.
Attorney and Chairwoman, Pasadena Rose Parade, Laura Farber.
And I have to tell you, I took advantage of being the first Latina to make sure that everything we did during the year, and not just during the year, but hopefully going forward, will represent and include the diverse aspects of our community. And I'm very, very proud of that. 8-year ladder to become president once you've been chair of a committee, and we have 32 operating committees. So it wasn't something I sought, but certainly when I was offered the opportunity, I was not going to turn it down, because it did present quite an opportunity to do what I think was important and good with an organization that brings so much joy and happiness to the world. So it was quite an experience. And I got to pick 2 things that nobody could tell me no. One was the theme, and the other was the Grand Marshal, and in instance, in my case, the Grand Marshals. So theme, the power of hope, el poder de la esperanza, and I have to tell you, it's still carrying on forward, obviously, right now, which has been amazing. And Grand Marshals, for the first time, 3 unbelievable Latinas, Lori Hernandez, Gina Torres, and Rita Moreno.
Founder and Principal, Agency M Media, Marcy Perez.
We all have fans. In fact, I remember one employer when I was in new business sales on the PR agency side, that employer told me, she said, Marcy, people want to see you succeed. Tell your people, your community, your friends, your colleagues. Tell them what you're trying to do. Tell them what you're trying to achieve. They want to see you win, but you have to tell it. You have to ask for it. And the people that are good, the people that are there, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember, wow, you know, last time I connected with her, she said she wanted to break into this type of industry for business. And hey, I just met someone. Let me go reach out to her. People want to see you succeed. So leverage your community, lean on your community, build that community.
Regional External Affairs Manager, Comcast, Maria Castro.
My mentors, I call them my personal board of directors. I've had an amazing run. I've had an amazing personal board of directors that have really guided me throughout the years. And I say this because, you know, starting out in my career, I was working at a bank for a while and, you know, just didn't feel comfortable because back in the day, you know, I was Latina, I was a person of color, and everybody that I worked with, unfortunately, was Caucasian. And so, you know, I didn't get invited to the lunches. I didn't get invited to the after hour, you know, drinks and things. And I couldn't really figure out why, because I've always had this like dynamic personality and I felt like, you know, I could fit in anywhere. But that's when it was reality to me.
Attorney at law, community advocate, Maria E. Hall.
What's important to me is that we get access to legal services and justice all throughout our communities. So not just in Century City and Beverly Hills. So my goal, and with the incubator program as well, other lawyers, we want to get law into our own communities within Spanish language, Chinese language, all the many, many languages here in LA. And that means everything from landlord-tenant law to family law to estate planning, anything that we all need legal services for, but we can't always afford. So our mission is really to diversify the legal profession and to make legal services more affordable and accessible to all of our communities.
Business owner, La Caridad del Cobre, Michelle López.
Soy dueña de la botánica La Caridad del Cobre, de botánica y florería. Mi labor es ser la dueña del negocio y mantener a mis empleados tranquilos en un ambiente a gusto y que estén bien. La botánica tiene 8 años. Ahorita cuenta con una solidez muy buena, gracias a Dios, a pesar de la pandemia. Hemos sobresalido todo este tiempo. Le tratamos de dar mucho trabajo a las personas que están en alcohol y drogas, mujeres que están golpeadas, que han tenido violencia doméstica, y ayudamos mucho a los programas de AA, a donde los programas de recapacitación para adolescentes.
Business owner, Evolving by Design, Monica Viramontes.
I feel like I've been in design since I was a very little girl. I'm an immigrant. I came from Mazatlan, Sinaloa, and my parents and I moved to California when I was 3 years old. And to make ends meet, my father had 2 jobs. In the evenings, he worked at a factory, and during the day and on weekends, he worked in his own construction company. So guess what I did on weekends and during the day? I worked in construction. And I would say that I do not have your typical upbringing. I am one of 4 girls, and all 4 of us grew up in the construction world.
Journalist, author, host, producer, Navy Reynoso.
I feel like what I'm doing now, which is my own publishing company, I've had to be a jack of all trades. I've had to learn the art of putting a marketing plan together, of producing a video so I could sell myself to the world and sell my products. So, you know, if you have a book and you want it to get into as many hands as possible because of your message that your book has, you need to know that marketing component. So as a producer of writing headlines, writing catchy titles, I mean, that's the skill that I learned there. Writing the book, it's not just putting words on paper, it's really words that flow from the heart, that make sense, that convey, that are powerful. And those are the types of skills I learned as a writer as a reporter for, writing stories.
Associate Director and Producer for Fox, The Real, Nancy C. Romero. Affordable Lending Manager, Freddie Mac, Nora Guerra.
When I was a young girl, my mom, my single mother, lost her home to foreclosure. And I remember thinking a 15-year-old girl should not be negotiating an exit strategy just because she's the only English speaker in her home. So if I can give anyone advice, find your true passion, stick with it. Make sure you advocate for your community. Make sure you advocate for the local minority groups. Whatever you're passionate about, stick with it. And you know what? Let me tell you, hard work, a great presence, and carrying yourself, with that Latina pride, never hurts us. Something I can say is the Latina of influence in my life was my mother, working 2 and 3 jobs, but she was always showing up, and she always really taught us how to carry ourselves and how to take pride in who we are.
Attorney at Law, Community Advocate, Rosa Elena Sahugun.
I'm one of 9 children. I am the first in my family to graduate from high school and the first in my extended family to go to college. And because my family come from such humble beginnings, I know what it's like not to have at your fingertips a friend that's a lawyer, a friend that maybe is more familiar with the system, or a friend that maybe is a little more schooled with some of the basic information that can help the community. I was also a very young mother, and as a very young mother, I knew that I had to make a difference for not only myself, but for my son. And so that's where my spirit of activism came. It came from my roots, and knowing that even though I came from humble beginnings, I wasn't worth any less than my classmates in school that came from generations of attorneys or doctors. And I wanted to become a tool for our community to turn to when it comes to information. Not only did we champion this last cause with the attorney that's now in prison, but we have actively tried to expose some of the immigration fraud in the Coachella Valley, for example, where you have farm workers that have stories very similar to mine and where the injustices are a daily trend.
Chef and owner Provecho Grill, Rosie O'Connor.
We had to think quickly because we started thinking about families are at home. What is it actually that they're going to need? And at that time, we were running a shortage on toilet paper, paper towels, eggs, and dairy. That was something that people were having trouble getting that we had access to. We didn't want to become a little supermarket. We wanted to make sure we provided. So we started providing taco kits where we have the carne asada, the carnitas, and the steak. You get beans, rice, tortilla. If you get a half a dozen of eggs, you got toilet paper. If you needed paper towels, we gave you paper towels with it. And we weren't charging for those products, for the paper towels and the toilet paper, and we just included it just to help our community out. So we had to think quickly. And then when we found out that we can sell alcohol, we started making our survival margaritas and our survival flavored margaritas, survival Mai Tai. But it was truly survival everything.
Transformational business and life coach, Sandy Lou Guerrero.
I think like most people's story of people that want to help people or that people that help people, I had support in my own life. So I went through a lifetime, I want to say until the age of 36, of a lot of loss, a lot of heartache, a lot of wrong turns, bad decisions. I can tell you, as a child, I was sexually abused. At the age of 23, my brother was killed by a random freeway sniper shooting. He was 5 days from his 22nd birthday. I ended up in a relationship, married, wrong choice, that ended up almost strangling me to death. I mean, you name it. I had miscarriages. I had a mother who was an alcoholic that struggled with alcoholism. I, got married again, and, self-esteem issues kept building and building and building, and it took a toll on the marriage.
Founder, Breathe of Fire Latina Theater Ensemble, Sarah Guerrero.
To find work for someone like me, a Latina, who didn't feel represented
And that, and that has led to me working with other institutes and organizations in developing relationships with the Latinx community to learn to shape stories based on these experiences, identify artists, to create opportunities for these artists, and then also expand the platform for existing work, right? Because there are things already happening that we just need to give them a larger platform.
Founder and publisher Para Todos, Sylvia Echar.
When I started Para Todos magazine 25 years ago, the first Spanish language publication in Orange County, I was empowered by Latinos that I used to take care in my position as an advisor. And then I jumped trying to help them more on top of my job, regular job, through a publication. But then I learned that I didn't know how to type. So I needed to learn from that on. But it was an incredible journey. And the best thing is to be connected with so many people, mainly Latino women.
State Comptroller of Illinois, Susana A. Mendoza.
My voice was one that I used to amplify as a megaphone for people who felt voiceless. And that is really why it was so exciting for me that it didn't matter how much money they spent against me as a candidate, the people got behind me, and we were able to build a coalition of support across the state in every region from north to south and east and west. And today I'm the controller, and I was reelected a couple years later for a 4-year term with the second largest vote total in the state of Illinois. So not just votes from Latinos, although I think the demographics are certainly one where there's so many more Latinos in Illinois than in other states, and certainly in the city of Chicago where I live. But, I needed to be able to build a coalition with not just Latinos, but African Americans and people who are in rural communities. And it all came together to make me the second largest vote getter in Illinois, and now the 4-year incumbent for the Comptroller's office.
SBA Economic Development Specialist and Women's Business Outreach Representative Sylvia Gutierrez.
Here in our district, I can speak for them. They are doing a fantastic job reaching out to the Hispanic community and actually all our resource partners, the Women Business Centers and SCORE. I personally, I am working closely with SCORE to have webinars in Spanish to inform the community about the loan programs, about the process, about answering questions. And we are also, I know that the SBDC is also having workshops in Spanish, probably not as many as we should, but we are having workshops in Spanish. We have bilingual consultants to help people understand the application and in some instances walk them through the process with them online to be able to submit an application.
Director, Marketing Strategy, Disneyland Resort, Tatiana Coafe.
But my team specifically, we're focused on the long-term strategy and innovation, both from a marketing and commercial standpoint for the Disneyland Resort. So we're often working on projects out in the future. We worked on Star Wars Galaxy's Edge before that opened. And we are working, of course, on Avengers Campus coming up to the Disneyland Resort as well. So I feel like I, work on the most incredible projects all the time. I feel like I'm pinching myself in the office when we're having these meetings. But, what I love the most is whenever we do have a chance to walk into the park and to just see the magic in people's eyes and the pixie dust. And it just reminds me why I work there. And it really just is to bring happiness and magic to people every day.
Restaurant executive and community leader, Teresa Razo.
Why I got involved into more and more is because we're great believers that first you help others. If it took you 10 years from one place to another, and if I have the ability to help others and make it shorter and easier for them, that's how we're gonna get farther as a community, as Latinos, as business owners, as everything, as human beings. That's the only way we're gonna get there faster and better together. I always feel we have a feeling, and we have that vibe in our businesses, that together we are stronger.
Transformational soul coach and author Yuri Veras Bueno.
Why my father was able to be so successful, it was because she almost put herself in the background, right? And when he died, she got really ill, emotionally, mentally ill, and she couldn't really take care of me. But I couldn't understand that, so I created a lot of resentment and a lot of hatred at one point. And so it was all this thing that I was bringing with me, all this emotion, like very charged, strong emotions against women and against myself that basically made me feel less than. And at one point, I felt like I didn't want to be a woman because it was a disadvantage.
Entrepreneur and community advocate Yvonne Flores.
And as you can see in the back here, this is the office, which used to be the gallery. And it was just a lot of people for 5 hours. I couldn't encompass more people in this small space. So we had to close the gallery. And after that, I got onto the board for community engagement. And we are a 501(c)(3) that supports local artists. So recently during COVID-19, we just gave away 100 $500 grants to the first people who submitted submissions to all local artists. So $50,000 we gave away in 24 hours quite a few weeks back. So that meant a lot to me, that we could actually help artists give that money away when they needed it the most,